and nail my bones to this floor. I lay my head and sew my skin to this bed, and I have to find a piece of my mind. I have left my soul far behind.
So hopefully you can see this okay. The problem I have is all of my footage is shot on one device, which is a Huawei Pura 70 Ultra. So I can't show you a third person view, for example, of me trying to film. So we're going to try and do a screen recording and film at the same time. So this is obviously the Huawei camera app. So as you can see on here, I'm now filming in a 16:9 aspect ratio because I really like it lately. It's some of my favourite aspect ratios to shoot in. I just think it gives way better cinematics. So if I start from the telephoto lens, you can see you can pan really slowly. And if you pan really slowly, obviously modern day phones have image stabilization. So what I find is if you used to sort of stop moving, for example, you can see the camera just carries on slightly. So if you sort of play with that and do it really slowly, you can almost counterbalance the phone's slight judges with the movement from the image stabilization, and it kind of gives you some super smooth B-roll. So bearing in mind this is from the telephoto lens as well, so we're just going to go really slowly, and I'm shooting at 1080p at 30 frames per second. So we also have the caramel filter, as they call it, which I think is really nice as well. If you do crop in with that telephoto lens, you can see you get those really kind of punchy but not sort of oversaturated greens, and you still get a nice sort of colour consistency between colours. So you know, slightly more saturated but not over the top, because you can still differentiate between each shade of each colour. So that's why I like filming with this filter. So obviously I normally also film, and not so much lately because unfortunately you can't film with this aspect ratio, you can't change it in the aperture mode. But if we go to aperture on the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra, and obviously other phones, I'm sure they can do portrait video, which is a similar kind of thing. So then we go to video options. Well, actually can shoot in aspect ratio, which is really nice. So in this aspect ratio, unfortunately, it's only locked at 1080p. Interesting. But we do shoot at 24 frames per second. However, as you can see, unfortunately with this chipset in this phone, it does drop quite a few frames. Normally, to be fair to it, if you do start filming, it will sort itself out after the first 5 seconds of the clip. So, but what I like to do with this one is if we go to physical aperture, move it to 1.6, if we can start filming, if I grab. It actually won't let me start filming, funny enough, but I can probably still show you. You can see the background blur we get, which is natural. We're on that physical aperture, and you can see at that 24 frames per second, you still get that cinematic blur. Dynamic range is also extremely good. If I hold this up to the sky, you can see that there's no blind highlights. So it's kind of a shame about those few drop frames, because otherwise it's actually a really nice device to film with. I mean, look how close I can get to the main lens and it still remain in focus. You can see the focus just starts to drop off further away, and if we switch to that for 4 times, because we've got that macro capability, you can see that you can get nice and close. You can see each detail on the leaf with that super blurred background. It's a really nice cinematic. Now the aperture for this telephoto lens, as you can see in the top right corner, is 2.1. So you can't actually change this because it's a fixed aperture lens, but with the main camera obviously you've got those 10 variable f-stops. But it is a nice feature, and I don't use it all the time, but you can go and you can control the virtual aperture, which I must admit Huawei have optimized extremely well. So you can see that I can 0.95 on that tele lens. It does look stunning. On the flip side, if we go to f16, you can see that it's not quite as blurred, but because of that tele macro capability, it does remain super blurred. That's moving quite quickly now. You can see the focus is bang on. It's really, really quick, really snappy. Video mode on the Huawei P70 Ultra is the Pro mode. So if we go into Pro, we then click on the video one here. So that's photo, that's video, and you can see it's still remaining in that aspect ratio. So we might be able to increase. So we can do obviously higher frame rates, but I wanted to see if we could do the aspect ratio on a higher frame rate, but unfortunately we can't. I can do 60 frames per second though, which is a lot nicer in my opinion. So this is obviously gives you way more controls. You can control that f-stop manually between F4. So that's F4 and F1.6, and that's real aperture. I mean, look at that. That's stunning. And I think they do it better than any other company. Absolutely stunning. So that's F1.6 again, and let's go to F4. So you can see a genuine, real difference there. You know, it's not fake, it is done completely real in the Pro mode. So you can't shoot log footage on the Huawei P70 Ultra, so it will be in the standard formats. Obviously you can control all your ISO and stuff like that, and also the shutter speed. So we'll put the on 1.6, and then the shutter speed obviously you can control how you like. It depends what sort of mood you're going for as well. And we can shoot on all focal lenses, on all the lenses, so you can see that we can kind of smoothly just kind of zoom in as well. You will see that transition change, but you can see at that 3.7, for some reason it doesn't switch until 4 for video, and you can see it looks extremely sort of stretched and out of its way. But when you go to 4 times, it does start to look nice again when that tele lens kicks in. And to be honest with you, it's one of my favourite lenses to use for video. You can get a really compressed background when filming with it. Please remember to like, subscribe and comment if you've watched till the end. I've put a lot of effort into this video with a lot of filming and a lot of editing. I believe it's one of my greatest videos yet, so let me know what you think in the comments below. But my final thoughts on phone video in general, well, I think it's such a useful tool. The most powerful camera is the one you've got in your pocket, so I think it's important you can get the most out of the video on your phone, and hopefully with this video you've gained, if anything, some inspiration, if nothing less than tips. But let me know what you think. But the Huawei P70 Ultra, definitely not a perfect phone, but when you get it right, it can give you some stunning results that look absolutely fantastic. All the audio is on the Huawei FreeBuds 3 Pro for reference. Thanks for watching.